Thank you. Alfred Sant, S&D Group.
Sir, one view of the austerity program that is being carried out in Greece under the auspices of the Eurozone is that it is leading to the pauperization of the working classes and the pauperization of the working classes and the middle classes. Also that it is undermining intergenerational stability between families due to the restructuring of pensions. I would like to tie this to what you have already discussed, foreign investment and direct investment, because you can only contain this huge problem of internal devaluation you're managing through at least new direct investment. Now, before the Syriza government came into force, under the previous government, when we were told that things were going quite well, the record shows that foreign direct investment stock in billions of US dollars decreased by 3.8 billion between 2014 and 2013. That's when the previous government was really pushing forward. The percentage of GDP of direct investment stock and capital stock went from 9.8 to 8.5 of GDP in the same period. Similarly, the number of greenfield investments between 2013 and 2014 dropped from 36 in 2013 to 22 in 2014. Now, what is going to make the current measures you are carrying forward improve Greek competitiveness? Because that's where the cookie crumbles. What's going to improve Greek competitiveness in what you're doing? And could you give us more specific information about what plans you have or what directions you're going to take beyond privatizations, because privatizations are going to lead to a reduction in jobs, not an increase in jobs, which is what you need. Which sectors are you going to push forward and how are you going to do it within this context of competitiveness that you need to encourage in this framework of an internal devaluation that's been so hard on the working and middle classes?
So there were a lot of questions there for 3 minutes.
You can have 1 minute more. We are
We're okay.
Well, good,
yeah. You're right about the competitiveness issue. I mean, think about most structural adjustment programs that the IMF is involved. What it does is, firstly, it restructures debt. That happens at the beginning. Then it devalues, and then it does the program. So Greece had a program that there was no restructuring of debt up front, and there was no devaluation because we're part of the euro. So that created in those periods, I mean, I have very many differences with the previous government, but even if I didn't have differences with the previous government, that was a very difficult situation to be able to come out of the crisis and to get investment. Apart from which, there wasn't any, the Grexit never came out of the programme, never came out of the agenda, sorry. So that is my number one answer why we didn't get foreign direct investment, whether in the previous governments or our government. Yes, people won't invest, and that's why whatever debt solution that we have must give a clear runway to investors. That was the point of my Financial Times 1 week. If we push the can down the road to Easter 2017, then investors will say, well, then I'll make my decision in Easter 2017. But there is a serious problem that you've addressed, because over and above those problems I've just mentioned, Greece is not a small closed economy, and it's not a small open economy, it's a small closed economy. In other words, one of the big problems was that we need to shift from non-tradables to tradables. So this development strategy, apart from all the things I've answered to the question here from Mr. Bullman and so on, is that the key part of the development strategy is to shift resources over time to tradables. And that, I feel, is central to how we're going to approach it in the development strategy through the reform of the financial system, the new investment institutions, addressing the problems of small and medium-sized enterprises. I think if there is a difference between the previous government and our approach is the following. The previous government, which was obviously more neoliberal than we are, had an approach that basically said, if I reduce wages and if I loosen up, flexibilise, there's no English word, flexibilise, make more flexible labour relations, then investment will come. That's what failed, in my view. And that's why your second part of your question is very important. You do have to indicate the sectors. No economy that I know in the post-war period, and I used to teach a course on development economics, ever developed by that, by just saying reduce wages, flexible labour markets, private sector, come where you want, wherever you want, and invest. You need a strategy that solves bottlenecks, that looks at synergies, that does joint ventures, and does it in certain sectors. That's how Korea developed, and that's how most countries developed quickly, Japan and so on. You have to have a development strategy. You have to know where you want to invest, in what areas you want to invest, which are the priorities. You're not going to ban investment in other areas, but you are going to provide a framework that people can solve coordination failures of the type, I'll invest if you invest and you invest if I invest, but if we don't get together, no investment happens. That's a typical coordination problem that economists pinpoint. And so we need a set of institutions that are going to address that issue, and I think we will be getting those institutions over the next 2 years.
Thank you. Eva Paunova, EPP.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, thanks for being here.